Good afternoon, everyone. We are Calah Tutorials. Today, for our team today, as you know, we'll be discussing gaming's effects on students' academics, and how to balance it well. The, the negative impacts while playing games.
Okay, guys. To put it simply, first, we'll just give you a brief introduction before we actually start with our stream. So, our goal today for our stream is that we're trying to make you guys aware of the balance between gaming life and your academic life. Second.
Uh, Negative impacts while playing games.
Oi, hello? Connecting to the audio.
Have you find yourself prioritizing your games over your academic commitments? Today we will be discussing on how you can balance those academic commitments and your gaming life. The reason why those games are negatively impacting you, your academic performance, and habits you can do to prevent the negative influence video games have on your academic life. But before that, I would like to introduce the people here with me today doing the screen. I am Carl, the leader of this quartet.
Let's see. I am Lexi. I'm Hailey Jagular.
And my name is Juan Miguel. Today we will be discussing
On
on how you can balance your academic life while playing video games. Firstly,
open the screen.
firstly we need to first address if you have a problem balancing your online gaming life with your academic performances. The first sign of there being unbalances is the lack of time management. The lack of time management is when you can't balance your online games with your academic commitments. Like you're prioritizing your games with your project or your time to study for that exam that you've been waiting for. And
Okay, go.
and and another sign of there being an imbalances is procrastination. Another way you can reduce procrastination is getting rid of your distractions. Like, for example, getting rid of your phone for, while studying. Because your phone is one of a big distraction while studying, right? Uh, Another distraction is like what do you call this? The games on your laptop while studying for your exam.
Your friends.
And
Your
what
friends.
else? While also those messaging apps. Why your friends can also be another big factor on why you can't balance your academic life. Hmm.
Ano ba? Kaya today? Kaya today? Kaya yan? Talaga? Ano yun?
Today we'll be discussing.
Can you like open YouTube, bro? That is not YouTube, bro.
Um,
Let's continue with the negative effects. To move on for the negative impacts while playing games, one of the negative impacts would be social withdrawal. Meaning to say is that usually when you play games, it's gonna your behavior would change and you'd isolate yourself because you'd be too busy playing games, too busy distracting yourself with the games and avoiding your schoolwork and as well as your family or friends. Though there are times when you can play with your friends, you can also not play with them because of the it depends on what type of games you're playing. Another one for the social withdrawal is that usually, if you have group projects, you'd end up playing games instead of talking to your group mates, which is why unresponsive group mates happen. A decline in academic performance is what leads us because of the social withdrawal or prioritizing games. Basically, instead of having a work hard, play hard mindset, you instead focus on games and prioritizing that because it's more fun than your academics. It reduces your focus on studies, affecting long term educational goals and opportunities. Irregular sleep patterns. Because of an inconsistent schedule, or if you prioritize your games first, if you do your games first before you do your academics, you'll end up disrupting your sleep schedule because you'll spend more time on gamings. Let's say you did 5 5 p.m. from 8 p.m. playing games, and then now it's 8 p.m. and you need to do your schoolwork because you remembered it. So now you're going from 8 p.m. to 10, 9 a.m. 9 a.m. 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., which continues and continues until you extend the time you're playing games and as well as extending the time you're doing your academics because you have a lot to catch up on. So now you're disrupting your sleep schedule by taking away the time that should be spent on your sleeping pattern.
Mood swings. Behavior indicators. Behavior indicator. Frequent mood swings. Irritability or frustration during or after gaming. You know, after playing a game, you might have lost during that game, right?
Yeah.
If you lose during a game, that would make you angry, and it would affect your mood. Yeah. Another impact is emotional instability, like
Emotional instability.
affecting personal well-being and relationships with others. People might see you differently if your mood swings are, not that balanced.
Alone?
Um, Next is neglecting responsibilities. Your behavioral indicator for neglecting responsibilities is consistently avoiding or postponing duties at home, work, or school due to gaming. What this means is when you're normally playing games, you might like neglect your responsibilities. Like for example, if you're playing, you don't want to study because you just keep on want to play. And for example, your mother is telling you to go cook food or go finish that thing that she asked you earlier. But instead, you just continue on playing games because you are too distracted of your duties, and because of that, it might strain relationships, potential work, or academic percussions, and a deadline in overall productivity. What this can do is make your overall academic performance low because you're not able to study, and you might even neglect your normal duties with your family, and this may affect relationships long term because it's because you're neglecting it due to you keep on playing games. This might affect family, friends, and more.
Loss of interest in hobbies. You can prioritize your games over your hobbies, like choosing to play that one game you really like over, reading your favorite book series, esports, and more. Behavior indicator and noticeable decline in engagement with once enjoyable activities like outside gaming. Another another loss of interest is like choosing to play a game over, physical sports like basketball, soccer, and many more. Another impact is reduced avenues for creativity, personal growth, and less diverse range of interests. Um, your that game you can always play is like almost repeated and repeated. And when that happens, you would always lose your creativity.
Ingat kasi guys. Physical
physical activity and poor lifestyle. Choices associated with prolonged game impact increased risk of issues, including obesity, scholar problems, and musculoskeletal concerns.
So a way that we could explain the physical health decline part is that, for example, your not only is your sleep schedule already disrupted, but when you play games, usually you're focused on the screen. So to give you a physical uh, explanation or example, is that when you're playing games, your back hunches over because you're focused on the screen. You're trying to listen in, and usually that's what happens. And another one is that since you're spending more and more time on games and you're already not prioritizing your academics, who's to say that you're not gonna prioritize eating, sleeping? No. Because usually, if you get that addicted to playing games, you start to lose track of your eating schedule and as well as your sleep schedule, which we mentioned earlier. Di pa tayo tapos, guys. Di pa tayo tapos, guys. Anong oras na?
So for me, I actually relate to this topic a lot. Since one time I actually played games with someone I know for like until 3 a.m. And to be honest, that affected me a lot. Not only physically, but mentally, but almost academically. Because when you're playing games, you might decline in every single way. And to be honest, when your health and your physical health and mental health is low, you might not be able to focus on your academics because those are impacted a lot. And when your mental health is bad, you may not do your task at school, you may not study, and you may not even just do your homework properly. And to be honest, this is a big effect, not only to you, but the people around you. Because when your mental health is declining, they may notice a lot of strains in the way you're talking to them, and overall your relationships will just be lay low. And talking about the health related issues about this, is when you're playing video games, you may neglect, as Haley said, you may neglect your health, you may neglect your eating habits, you may neglect your sleep. And yeah, I relate to that a lot because back then I used to play games until 3 a.m. and I would even skip meals just to play video games. And to be honest, that is such a big issue to me. And because of that, I really do think the physical health decline is one of the big reasons why students nowadays are neglecting their studies.
What about you, Carl? What is your experience in prioritizing your games over your academics?
It has affected my grade very severely. The past few quarters, I have been prioritizing my games over my academic, and that led to my grades falling. After that, I had to do research on how I could remove those procrastination while doing my activities. Uh, like, for example, the physical health decline. I saw my sleep schedule being affected negatively a lot. Like, I could be sleeping at 1 a.m. and waking up at 9.
So,
Next.
wala na next.
Ano yun?
So, right now, guys, since we're a bit too fast in talking, but like we could share our own experiences for now because honestly, there's a lot that we're not yet discussing because we're waiting for one of our group mates that have just arrived now. Welcome, Juan. So, it's okay.
Ayun.
So, sir, get a chair. So actually, our group mate was the one that was supposed to handle this topic, but since he arrived a bit late,
It's been 7.
would you like to say something about the presentation that you made? You
Oh,
know,
this?
just a little add up.
Hmm. Yes, I would actually like to add a little bit more information. Sorry, I'm a bit late. It's been 7 hours. Guys. Anyways, the information that I would probably give here is the fact that some people can actually relate to this. Did you know that this guy can actually relate to this? Yes, I relate to it very much. Can you do you guys hear that? He actually used to play basketball before. He still does, but think about it. Did he improve upon it or not actually? Then again, it is negative impacts. You can kind of see if it's a positive impact. But that's the only thing I have to say about that.
And what else?
And what else?
What about your own
Oh,
experience?
my experience, I actually gained depression from this actually.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I gained depression from playing games was because I actually didn't have friends to play with, and also because usually I was only by myself. So basically, I'd say it was kind of sad. But hey, I learned from it, and I have people to play with now, despite it also being pretty much me.
So, do you have enough time for your academics?
Yes, 2 hours of my life just to study.
2 hours. Okay.
I could have gone 15 minutes, but hey, 2 hours is enough.
So, for now, let's talk about some issues here because some of them actually interest me a lot. Like, for example, the social withdrawal. Like, one, can you explain this more further?
Oh, the social withdrawal part is basically like imagine yourself like you have friends and families and stuff, but then suddenly you stop being with them, like you slowly push them apart. That could be a sign on where like the topic of games and stuff like that suddenly basically change your attitude towards everyone you know, like including your friends, family, loved ones, and basically everybody you know. Pretty much basically becoming a loner at this point.
Haley, how about you? Do you relate to that?
Say that the time that I actually related to this was during the pandemic because, as you, it's the pandemic. A lot of people were secluded, isolated, and there was a time where I was alone in a room for just a whole week because at that time I was sick. I got COVID at that time. So the only thing I did during that time was playing games, sometimes chatting, but my head would hurt a lot. And it was definitely lonely and definitely I should have rested during that time instead of playing games because I think that's what prolonged my sickness instead of a quick recovery. So I'd say that part is one of the things.
Okay.
Sorry guys, my ice cream guys.
Okay, so how about the declining academic performance? Now, let me start us off. Actually, I can relate to this a lot because back then, when it was still in COVID 19, when there was a pandemic, we used to have online classes. I think most of you guys remember online classes, right? Yeah. So back then, when online classes were still a thing, I would actually just play games online. I would actually, skip classes back then when the when the online classes were around. I would actually skip
It's a sign
class.
of unproactiveness, bro. That's in our MCH.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. It was a bad me, to be honest.
Are you saying you actually didn't answer any of the MCH forums?
That's in the
I,
MCH.
I did
forums.
I did
Why would you do
I still
that?
did my task, but here's the thing. Because of games, I would actually skip my classes. And to be honest, those games were pretty mediocre. Like, I could actually say Roblox, for an example. I would skip class just to play Roblox, maybe even Genshin sometimes. And to be honest, that.
Genshin's mediocre to you?
No.
You're gonna get
No
cancelled on
way.
Twitter for that.
Okay, but let me continue. When I would skip classes, I wouldn't be able to catch up with the lessons. And to be honest, my exam grades, even my projects, would be lackluster due to this. And most of the time, when I would get called in class, I would just, to be honest, I would just leave because of that, because I didn't learn anything from it. And because of that, I can definitely say that my academic performance was easily declining. Like compared to my, for example, my early days in school, like my grade six, I would definitely say my grades back then were a little bit higher compared to my grade seven grades. And yeah, to be honest, ever since the pandemic started, I would just play games, and my academic performance online would just go down and down and down and down. Yeah. How about you, Carl? Can you relate to this?
Yes. Because of my lack of performance in my academic, my leader actually lowered my grade because of my lack of participation in the group activities. After uh, go on.
Go on. Continue.
After I had that wake up call from my, you know, group leader, I realized that I had to prioritize my academics over anything else. and because that's what's really important at the end of the day.
That's very good for you, dude.
Mm.
And did you know you're actually a group leader now?
Ah,
That's a
yes.
really good improvement.
It's so ironic.
I-
It's a
Isn't
good
it?
thing, right? You improved, right?
Yeah. Oh wow. Irregular sleep patterns. Ay,
So,
ay,
is this
ay.
something that all of us go through?
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually went
Very
through
much.
this.
Yes.
How about you,
So,
Haley? I
what
think
ako?
you went through this a lot
A lot?
recently. Yeah,
A lot?
Yes.
recently, yeah.
Recently?
Recently, I think it was go way back. Like let's say a few months back,
A few
actually.
months.
Yeah.
Few months. How old is 1, 2, 3? Mga 7 months ago, no?
Oh
Yeah.
my
Wow.
gosh.
Although mine is not because of games. Mine is not because of games.
Is it about academics?
I wonder. Is it about academics, Carl? Is it about academics?
I believe it was because of
Because of?
a certain group member not doing their part.
Really? Do you mind elaborating? Does this group member have a letter C in their name?
I mean, there could be a lot of group members that have the letter C in their name. Does it end with an L though?
So as you can tell, the reason why we chose this as our topic is because this is something we all know way too well and we've been through much too much. But lately we've been finding ways and this is actually helping us to get better at balancing our academics and gaming life.
How much time have you spent on sleeping?
We don't talk about the sleep schedule. Mood swings.
Ay, ay, ay. Did any of you guys actually experience
Me.
like, oh my
Okay.
god.
Okay, fun fact. I broke a lot of gadgets due to games, and to be honest, I cannot count them now. And because of that, I really do think it affected not only my mood swings, but as my academics as well. Due to my mood swings, I really do think my academics were becoming more lackluster due to me just becoming more sad and desperate because of playing video games. And to be honest with you, a lot of games, like for example, I don't know, parkour games can really make you angry since if you fail them, like you have to restart the whole thing, right? And to be honest, I can also name League of Legends for an example because if you lose there, you probably will experience a lot of anger issues, especially if you lose due to bad teammates. And to
Have
be
you
honest,
have you sworn at your teammates when you play League of Legends?
we don't talk about that.
Ain't no way.
And to be honest, due, because of that, I really do think my mood swings not only affected my personal self, but also the people around me and my academics. Neglecting responsibilities. I would like to ask one of our group mates about this.
Yes, I have been before I've been
Before?
uh, before I have been neglecting my responsibilities over my online games because at the time my mindset was I can just do it later. I can just do it the next day or the day after.
And do you still feel with this attitude? Do you still
Today
have
I've
this kind of mindset?
Now I haven't really been doing that much. I love to hope so.
A sign of good improvement.
Hopefully a
Improvement,
sign
no?
of
Sana?
uh,
Sana?
hopefully.
43 na tayo eh.
Yeah, it's already quarter three and I am changed. Yes.
Good job.
And for me, neglecting responsibilities. When I would play games, most of the time, back in like grade 9, I think even now in grade 10, I still have the same mindset of I can just do it later. But to be honest, I'm really trying to improve on that. Not only because I think it affects me, but it affects the people around me. Like for example, my family, even my friends, my group mates in school. And to be honest, it's really hard working on this, but I can definitely see an improvement in myself because when you're playing games, when you neglect your responsibilities, for example, it can really affect everything. And I'm not talking just one thing, and it can affect everything like a domino effect. If you neglect one responsibility, it might reach your parents, they might get angry at you because you're not doing your stuff at school, and to be honest, it's just, again, it's a big domino effect.
Loss of interest in hobbies. So, actually, because of games before. I During the pandemic, I thought I'd pick up a hobby, which was playing the piano. But that was soon replaced after I started playing games. So I think that would be one of the reasons for loss of interest in hobbies. So for example, you used to go out a lot, or you used to do arts, play an instrument, do sports. But because of games, you can slowly lose that interest. You can lose the interest in doing those hobbies that used to make you happy but was now replaced with games.
Those games give you happiness, then that one.
Depende, will I win the 50-50 or not?
Okay, we talked about physical health.
We already talked about this one. So for now, guys, we will be having a little break first. So please stay, guys. Please stay, guys. Okay.